All right, guys, it's time to go over some of these male blind spots. If you've been checking out our other self-guided coaching plans, you're probably familiar with these. Whether you'd like to skip over this part or you'd like to see more specifically how these male blind spots block men from creating meaningful relationships, hang with us for a minute. Now, first is the idea that in order to be a real man, we have to be successful. This is basically defined by winning in competition against other people, not really ourselves. This teaches us to be really competitive with others and also teaches us to have a low frustration tolerance. This is the ability for things to not go well and still keep your head, or lose but do it gracefully and stay in the game and learn those lessons. We're not taught how to do that as men, and we're not taught that that's an important life skill, and to many different ways that really gets us in trouble later. Second, we're taught to be tough, to have courage, and what that looks like in manhood is never showing pain or fear openly. That looks weak. Now, this also teaches us to be scared of vulnerability, which again is required for meaningful connection with other people, even in friendships and even between men. We're human beings after all. Third, this idea of emotional restriction. Another word used to describe this is also stoicism. This has been around for a long time. It's very popular in business, even more popular on the battlefield. It is very helpful on the battlefield, never to panic, never to show that information, never to show them our cards. Now, with that being said, if we don't know how to access a full range of emotional intelligence, generally, even with our loved ones, that blocks us from learning what meets our integrity, learning how to read the integrity of other people and collaborate with them in a way that fits for everybody's bottom line. Next to last is this idea that violence is okay if it's needed, if it's necessary. Not that you should necessarily go out there seeking it out, but if you need to do it to get the job done, go get it done. Get that situation under control. Now, again, that works very well for the battlefield or for being a protector. And the idea might sound fine enough, especially when you don't want to use violence too quickly. It's only okay if it's needed. But a lot of times the person that gets to define if it's needed is the person that's going to be using it. So there's no separation of that power, which is really important to create fair and equitable practices. And what ends up happening if we use power and control tactics or aggression or violence to control the behavior of other people, nobody's going to want to be our friend. Who wants to relate to somebody like that? Who trusts somebody like that? It's very hard to. Why would you? It doesn't sound very smart. And of course, last is this idea of don't act like a girl. This is basically seeing women or girls as less than, wanting to avoid behaving like them. This is not befitting of a real man. There are no very strict guidelines, very helpful guidelines for what it means to act like a girl. What we learn as boys is that acting like a girl looks like the opposite of the first four. So what we end up being set up for when you combine all of these with each other are very powerful, very power hungry, willing to be aggressive, highly competitive, a lot of scarcity bias and really insecure about what everyone else has, and very unwilling to experience a vulnerability and share that vulnerability openly with other people, even if they're supposed to be on our same team. The result is we tend to become very isolated. And it's probably not a surprise that 3 times more men would rather go drink with a buddy than actually talk to them about what is hard for them. Think about that for a minute.